Shut up and sit down.
Hi, welcome back to Not a Writing Vlog. Last time I talked to you about some of the best things about writing, about being a writer, and I read you some fan mail. So I did promise that I was going to talk about what are the worst things about being an author, but I really just don't feel emotionally ready to do that right now. So I thought instead, since I read fan mail last time, I thought that I would read hate mail this time. And to be honest, I don't really get that much hate mail. But I do get bad reviews, and I do read my reviews. I know I'm not supposed to. So I thought I would read, first of all, pretty much the only piece of hate mail that I've ever gotten. And I'm going to read it because it's hilarious and I love it. And then I'm going to read a couple of bad reviews that I've gotten, which I also think are hilarious. These aren't really the worst thing about being a writer. I think when you're starting out, it might seem that way when you get a bad review, but eventually you start to see them for what they are. One of my colleagues tweeted today that when you get a bad review, you shouldn't take it badly, because what it means is that your work has moved outside your sphere of influence far enough that people feel free to express opinions about it and not worry about hurting your feelings. So in other words, more people than your mother and your brothers and sisters have read it. And if they don't like it, then all that means is that your book is now a real book out in the world, and people are going to react how they react. Not everybody's going to like everything. So most of the time, if somebody doesn't like my book, they just either don't say anything or they might leave a bad review. But once somebody took it upon themselves to write to me, and so I'm going to read that letter now. This letter concerns my first YA novel, which is a novel in verse called Audacious. And I don't need to tell you what Audacious is about. I think you'll get the gist of it from this letter, but I would love it if you guys would read it. It's available at Amazon and in libraries and all that kind of stuff. In fact, ask your library to buy it. So request it at your library, because I love when people do that. So here's the letter, and it's actually from a librarian, from a high school librarian. Hi, Gabrielle. I am a high school teacher librarian, and I have recently launched a White Pine group at our school. White Pine was an award I was nominated for. I have read 3 of the titles so far, including yours, and I have to say that although I found Audacious riveting and very well written, I am very upset with some of the content. As a devout Catholic, I find Raphael's description of a well-hung Jesus extremely offensive. I understand that your heroine is rebellious and subversive, and I can relate personally to her angry at God rantings. But I also know that certain things are sacred and should be kept sacred. You may not consider Jesus to be your savior, nor God to be your creator, but countless people do. To refer to one's father as well hung is horrific to me. You have crossed the line here and have said the unsayable. Non-Christians like yourself seem to think that anything goes with regards to Christianity, and frankly, I am tired of it. Would you want someone to speak about your own father this way? Your character does not, predictably, say any such thing about Muhammad, nor should she. I shudder to think of the consequences if she had. When I meet with my group after Christmas, I will not mince words with regard to your novel. You are, either wittingly or unwittingly, giving young people implicit permission to denigrate Christianity by validating it through your writing, but I will attempt to undo the damage. So she's really not happy with me. My favorite part about this is where she suggests that my father wouldn't enjoy being described as well hung, and frankly, I think he would be delighted. So Dad, if you're listening, I don't know, I don't remember, probably took a bath with you when I was 3, but I don't remember. But for the record, let's say that you're well hung. And as far as Muhammad goes, the part in the book is actually about Ella drawing a picture of Jesus, and she draws Jesus on the cross naked, and she gives him a nice package. I mean, what are her choices there? She can either give him a kind of a pathetic small package, or a good package, or an average package, and she decides to be generous. Why shouldn't he have a nice package? He's a man. And as far as Muhammad goes, You're not supposed to draw pictures of Muhammad, which I respect. I'm not a Muslim, but I respect that you're not supposed to draw pictures of Muhammad, and I wouldn't draw a picture of Muhammad, and neither would my character. But Muhammad was not shy about sexuality. Anybody who's read his writings know that he was quite happy to talk about sexuality. So he was a man and proud to be a man. So I don't know that Muhammad would particularly have a problem with that implication either. That's my favorite part of this. But I also like how she says she found it riveting and well written, as if after saying that, anything that she says matters. She liked my book. She found it riveting and well written. If it offended her, well, books, when you write a book, you're not writing for every single person. Obviously, if you write something that nobody is offended by, then it's probably a recipe for sponge cake. So I don't really know how I can write a book and not offend somebody. That's the way it goes. So this next one I'm going to read is a review, and it's also a review of Audacious. And this one of my favorite things about this one, you can see here that there's a lot of shouty capitals at the end of it. I love that. I always like a good shouty capital. So I'm going to shout when she shouts. I didn't like this novel. The attempted verses are creative, but I think this book could have done good without it. Honestly, this girl, if you took out her weirdness or awkwardness, she's just another typical girl with raging hormones. I think this girl wasn't given enough love when she was young, and this is how she seeks it. Fantasies, sleeping with random, hot, I don't know about that, guys. Because this novel is told in verse, even though it says page 35, condense it into narrative style, and it'd probably be page 10 to 20. So she sees this random Starbucks guy who serves her coffee. Then she goes home, and then, wow, her imagination goes wild, like really wild. And she quotes one of the poems here. How I dream it. The Starbucks boy has been saving up his pay. I leave the mudroom door open. He climbs the narrow stairs, and in the moonlight, we make love. That part is hard to imagine. It's his first time, too. He has a tattoo and a pierced navel and calls me Mi Bella, because the brown eyes mean he's Italian, I suppose. And she goes on. Okay, I got nothing about dreaming about hot guys the second you meet, but geez, it sounds like you're a guy having a nice version of a wet dream. I don't understand why she has a problem with that. The rest of the novel talks about how she deals with the school and her home and herself, and it's supposed to go all well and stuff, except when she doesn't understand her feelings that well and attempts to express it in a way that she thinks others will understand, but sigh, everyone knows that's not really the case. But that's not my biggest complaint. My biggest, that this book, a 1 star, see her grammar starts to fall apart because she's really mad at this book now, is that there is a friggin' not needed love triangle. It's a shame to be even called a love triangle. More like a jumble shit of hormones and crushes and first likes, blah, blah. Ha, this love triangle is really just a girl who's unsure about her two feelings for the two-ish guys. What does she do in the end? What does she do? She dates both of them. Or at least she resolves. I can't wait a second here. Am I missing something? So you, Ella, don't know about your current feels, so you're gonna double time? You really want more shit on your plate, don't you? School shit and family shit ain't enough, so you're gonna do relationship shit? Don't screw with me. At least Bella was with one at a time. Bella from Twilight, she means. Wow, no comment there. Okay. Do you even want me to mention that you confessed and attempted to sleep with one of them already? Wow, this book I need to stop. Sigh. I tried. I really did. So that's pretty much exactly the reaction that I want to my books. I like how her grammar falls apart because she's so angry. She's so angry with me. I think she liked the book. She gave it 1 star. But I actually think she liked this book. If a book makes you feel that much, I think that's a good book for you to read. And one of the things that I love about people's reviews of young adult novels in particular is that they will often talk about aspects of the book that they didn't like, that are routine aspects of teenhood, and they'll talk about those things as if they didn't like them. So where she says, honestly, if you took away her weirdness or awkwardness, she's just another typical girl with raging hormones. I mean, isn't that just who most of us were in high school, like weird and awkward, but pretty much normal girls with hormone issues. And then she says, well, like there's something wrong with her having a sexual fantasy. Like she even corrects herself, like there's nothing wrong with it, but there's something wrong with it. I just think that sometimes when people read YA novels, they are trying to review a book that's not YA. I don't know whether young adult is for everyone, but I always find that really interesting. Obviously, I'm not mad at this reviewer. I love this review. I absolutely love this review, and I hope if she sees this and I'm sharing it, I love this review. Thank you very much for writing this review. I think it's funny when people put things in reviews about young adult novels that are specifically criticizing the characters for being immature, for example, or for doing things that teens normally do, like ordinary, average teen things that teens do. This is an example of a review for Zero Repeat Forever. It was a very short review, but I'm just going to read this one sentence from it, where it's pretty much implying that the plot wasn't original enough for them, which is fine. It's totally fine. I don't claim to write the most original plots, and if this plot was too tropey for somebody, that's fine. But what I liked about this review is they say, a handful of survivors, teenagers of course, roam the map making plans that rarely come to fruition. In the parentheticals, teenagers of course. This is a young adult novel. Of course they're teenagers. Why wouldn't they be teenagers? So I thought that was funny. But again, no problem. I like this review. And then I'm just going to read one more. This is my favorite review, I think, of all time. It's also for Audacious. And this review came in September 2018, so nearly a year ago now. And the review has 3 words. Horrible, period. More later. I'm still waiting. I was really excited, actually, to see the more, but it never came. So that person didn't like my book. So be it. Not everybody likes all my books. Not everybody likes every book. Sometimes when I read reviews, a bad review, I like to see what else people didn't like. And sometimes they're really good books. Like recently I got a review that someone didn't like my book. And so I went back and I said, well, what other books does this person like? And they'd given The Hate You Give 1 star as well. So I thought, well, I'm in very good company, because this person obviously just doesn't like young adult books. I don't know. Bad reviews don't bother me. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. It depends on my mindset. If I'm in a poor mindset where work is going badly, where I'm not feeling very creative, where I'm working on a project and I don't feel like it's coming together, then I won't read the reviews. But sometimes if the book's out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't change it. I'll read the bad reviews. Most of the time, I think they're funny. And I'm glad the person read my book. I don't like it when they 1 star if they say, I read a chapter and I didn't finish it. I don't like that. You haven't given the book a chance, and you're rating it. You can not finish my book, that's fine. But if you haven't finished the book, I don't think you should rate it, because basically you're saying chapter 1 wasn't interesting enough. And I actually have several reviews of Zero Repeat Forever where they've said, oh, I don't like this on page 100, and this is not my thing on page 200, and then by the time they finish the book, they give it 5 stars. So so that bothers me. But generally, 1-star reviews don't really bother me. Bad reviews don't really bother me. I would rather get a 1-star review where they told me why they didn't like it than just a 1-star rating. I think if you're going to give somebody a 1-star rating, go ahead and review it. Give your opinion. I'm interested to see that, not only for my books, but for other people's books. I think 1-star opinions are really helpful to readers and to writers. So I know a lot of writers don't read their reviews, and a lot of writers say you should never read your reviews. I don't listen to that. I like to read them. The positive ones really excite me and really give me a lot of confidence and give me a boost. And the negative ones, as I said, sometimes I just think they're funny. So that's what I do with reviews. Some of you, if you're aspiring writers, might think, oh God, bad reviews are probably one of the worst parts of being a writer. It's really not that bad. There's stuff that's a lot worse, and I will try to get to that in my next video. I'm gonna have to do like major mental preparations to be able to talk about some of the really bad things about being a writer. But bad reviews, they're fine. They're fine. You can handle it. I believe in you. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope you're feeling kind of inspired. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I will see you next time. Bye.